kick off the day with a keynote session that I think is a really special one. And we're really lucky to have as a moderator of this session, Rick-Rose Roque, who is so it's great to have Rick-Rose back. She's a former member of the Scratch team here at MIT, who's now a professor at University of Colorado. I think it's really appropriate that Rick-Rose is moderating this session, because while she was here on the Scratch team, she did a lot to both support and study the online community of working with all the young people who are interacting in the community and collaborating in the community in so many ways. So Rick-Rose did her dissertation here on family creative learning, has continued to extend that work with her research in Colorado. And it's great to have her back with 3 longtime members of the Scratch community to talk about their experiences in growing up with Scratch. So let me welcome Rick-Rose and the other panel members to the stage.
Hi, everyone. It's so good to see you all, and I'm so excited about this panel. When I joined the team in 2010, and for the 6 years that I was part of the team, there's so many things about it that I loved. I love working with a team. It was nice to be Mitch's advisee, also getting to know you all through the different gatherings. But one of the things that I love the most was interacting with the Scratchers, Scratch members, but I also call them Scratchers. And one of the things that really caught me as we were working in the community and watching what was happening was seeing the ways that young people were growing up in the community. They might start when they're 10 or 12, and suddenly they're looking at colleges and they're still scratching and they're introducing others to Scratch. And it's just so wonderful to see the different ways that they were growing and learning and connecting with each other. So it's such a pleasure to bring 3 of them here today. Over here is Bella and Jocelyn and JT. They're going to introduce themselves a little bit more. So I thought maybe you could say a brief thing about yourselves, and then we're going to show something about each of them. Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Isabella. I have been scratching for about 5 years now. I'm from LA, and my username is Bella Mai on Scratch.
Hi, I'm Jocelyn Morensic. I've been scratching also for about 5 years. I'm from Richmond, Virginia, and my Scratch username is Crazy Nimbus.
Hey, my name is JT. I've been scratching for almost 5 years now. I'm from Charlotte, North Carolina, and my username is ST19_Gala. I'm sorry, my teacher made us.
You've talked to your teacher recently.
Yes. So technically, Gala in the last name is a break of the community guidelines. So I had to let her know no more in the future.
Just as a pro tip as you're creating new usernames. I thought as a nice way to start getting to know them that they could share their very first Scratch project. So we all remember ours, but I thought we could share some of theirs. So let's start with, here's Bella's. Let me refresh it so you get the full experience. Okay. You want to say a little bit about the project?
Yes, as you can see, it has a very complex storyline. Yeah, this is my first project. It was right after I figured out how to use Scratch and I got familiar with what the blocks mean, and I just took a couple of the most self-explanatory blocks, put them together, and I was actually really proud that I was able to make something on my first day using Scratch. And as you can see, it's very simple. I just repeated the same little loop over and over again, but yeah.
Cool. So now, share the race.
All right, here's my first project ever. Let's move the mouse, and you can move the car. As you can see, the car moves perfectly sideways. And it goes around the circle. and then if you touch the green at all, you lose. So I was just happy to create something on my first day, just like Bella was. And then just not too long after that, I joined the community. So
cool. Yeah, I noticed it had 22,000 views. My first project did not have that many. So here's JT's. Do you want to preface it, or should I just start playing it?
Yeah, so you might not be able to tell because I'm a cross-country runner, but I love food. Super good. I especially love donuts. And yeah, I just decided to do something with donuts. So here's my disco donut.
So I'm curious, actually, how did you find out about Scratch?
My dad actually introduced Scratch to me just one day when I was in 6th grade. He said, hey, check out this really cool website, because he is a programmer himself. And so he saw this, something fun, inviting that I would be interested in. And right away, the colors and the community and just how much fun the website looked, it drew me in, and I was so excited to get started.
So I joined when I did a Google search for different kinds of programming languages that I could use to teach myself how to code. So I originally joined to learn how to make games, but then after that, I kept expanding to art and animations and stories and so much more as soon as I saw the community was giving so much positive feedback.
I'm curious, actually, how did you know to look about programming? Did you hear about it in school?
So I heard about it from a few of my friends one day, and they were like, oh, I just coded this little thing that can make my computer do some changing colors or something. And I was like, oh, that sounds cool. What is coding? And then I looked it up, and I got so interested in it, and I discovered Scratch, and then I got so much further now, and it's been great.
Cool. How about you, JT? How did you first hear about it?
Yeah, so mine was from my teacher, like I mentioned. It was actually a week-long unit in my just computer, like general computer class in 7th grade. And so after that week, though, after sharing some projects and seeing people interact with them that I had no clue who they were, but seeing their positive feedback from all across the world, I just had to stick with it. So.
Wow. Does your teacher know that you're still on Scratch and doing things?
Yeah, I email her every now and then to keep her updated, different things that I've been doing, and she loves it. She always mentions like me with her new class because she keeps the program going, and sometimes I'll Skype in with them and just like introduce them to Scratch. So.
Wow. I haven't Skyped with my teacher. That's awesome to keep in touch with them. So Jocelyn, you mentioned the community.
Yeah.
So how did you first find out about the community? Was it something that you saw immediately, or?
So right after I shared the first project that I shared, which was a dance project, different than the first project that I saw there, that you guys saw, I started getting some feedback on ways I could improve. So like, not just, I like this, or this is cool. I got ideas for maybe you could add another character doing something, or you could add a feature where they get scored based on certain ways they move and things like that. So after seeing that feedback and adding projects to studios and collaborating and all the different comments and the welcoming committee when I first joined, I just knew that this was a very positive community and decided to keep going.
I wanted to show some things live as you're mentioning them in case, because I know people have different experience here with the Scratch community. I think sometimes when I talk to people, they see the website and they think like, oh, it's a place to share projects. But I think something that might not be obvious right away until you start clicking and digging in is seeing that there's this really dynamic community of young people participating in it. And actually, when you first join and make an account, I won't be able to sign in and see it because I've been in the Scratch community for some time. But on this side, you'll see something like the welcoming committee that you mentioned, Jocelyn. I wonder if I could Google search welcoming committee. Oh, look. When I Google welcoming committee, there's a project by Crazy Ninja that welcomes people.
That was a guide for helping people who would like to join the welcoming committee.
Thanks for reading another.
Yes, that's my I also have a normal welcoming project in there too. So basically what we do in there is I've been a coordinator in the welcoming committee for a while now, or a curator or a person that's helping new members. So I've been showing them where they can go on the website, where they can get started if they're feeling stuck, and then showing them where they can show off their projects and get positive feedback from each other, such as the discussion forums. And it's been a very pleasant experience with all the new members, and in watching them grow. It's like watching a kid grow up, watching them do more and more amazing things with each other in the community.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's really lovely watching people interact in the community, over time especially. Bella, I'm curious, what were your early experiences like in the
My earliest experience in the Scratch community was actually on my first day of Scratch. I remember when I first opened up the Create page and was about to make my first project, I had no clue how it worked at all. There's a little, yes, right there. So the gray space is where you're supposed to drag the blocks and put something together. But I just remember for a solid 15 minutes trying to drag the blocks into the stage, and that's not at all how it works. And I was extremely confused as to why nothing was happening. And then I went on the Scratch homepage and saw you can actually look at tons of different Scratchers projects and see inside and look at their code, and it's just extremely interactive. So I remember browsing projects for a while, finally figuring out how it worked. And that's actually how I made my very first Scratch friend. And yeah, he actually would give me feedback, help. I remember we would comment on each other's profiles and ask, oh, how do you do this? Help each other out. And actually on my first project, you can see he commented.
Oh.
Yeah.
Let's see. See project page. Lol.
Great to have someone right there supporting you.
Yeah, speaking of which, we were also looking at, JT, I know you just posted this even though...
Yeah, it wasn't originally shared, so I had to share it for this conference. So.
But I noticed the comments here are really sweet. Leafy the Goblin, if you don't know, Leafy the Goblin's pretty awesome Scratcher as well. Did this keynote 4 years ago. Left a comment, OMG, so cool. Did you know I made a disco cat as a first project? So I'm curious with the, Bella, you mentioned your first friend, and we're seeing some people here, Whiskers 101, for example, said they knew you in the very beginning. From those early experiences, how did, what made you keep coming back? You were mentioning feedback, but what else was, keeping you in the community?
For me, it was just how supportive everyone was and how friendly everyone was. It was just constant, like you said, positive feedback. Just everyone was so ready to help. And there are also these things on Scratch called studios, and they're really fun. You can create, it's almost like a mini website on Scratch because you can add in your projects. There's a comment section. People can join and be curators. People can follow. It's like a mini community. And so there are just a lot of things like that that just help people find similar interests and talk to each other. This one's for Shark Week. You can see a description. People can share their projects, and just little features like this on the Scratch website that are so different from everything else. Because I always say this, a lot of people think of coding as what they see in movies when there's a hacker trying to get in and you see the lines of code, and it's not always like that. And of course, that is coding too. But just seeing something like this that is young kids and adults alike programming and forming a community, it's just so different, and that's what kept me coming back, just having this space to share.
Yeah, mine was pretty much the same. I started with Paddle2C. It's another Scratch team member. He's a moderator, and he loved Pi Day, and he actually created a Pi Day studio for 2014, and I helped him curate it for that. And it was just super cool seeing all the different people get super excited about the same topic. It was just everyone that you didn't even know, people from around the world just coming together and joining and getting excited about one thing, and just leaving comments and, wow, this is super cool, I love Pi. Just everyone just getting behind the similar topic is something that was just amazing to see.
Yeah, and speaking of studios, about once every month, we have a Scratch design studio on the home page with all different types of projects. So yeah, this month we have symmetry, and we've been Scratch design studio curators for a little while, the two of us. And it's been great seeing the variety of different projects that Scratchers come up with just one theme. We get collaborations, we get solo projects, all kinds of different things that people have been making, and it's just all another positive community within the community.
Can you say more what a Scratch Design Curator is?
Yeah, so Scratch Design Studio curators are able to leave comments to other Scratchers and add projects. So we basically lead the design studio through more feedback and helping each other along the way.
Yeah, it's like a month-long studio that runs, usually around a month, and it's featured on the homepage. It's like the 4th row, I think. And the website just chooses random projects in the studio to be featured on the homepage, which is really awesome because it's a great way to
all different perspectives.
Yeah, have like see other people's ideas and have your project like able to be seen by other people as well. And so yeah, it's just a month-long thing, and we basically just people will comment the link to their project you have added, and then we'll make sure that it fits the theme, and then add it, and everyone gets to really join in on the experience. So.
Yeah, I love seeing the projects that come in for the design studio. I think it's especially a fun way for Scratchers who are looking for something to do, or if they're fairly new, it's like a nice creative constraint to help people get started. I'm curious, how long have you been design studio curators?
Probably about 3 or 4 years now.
Yeah,
wow.
4 years for me.
Oh my gosh. And how has it evolved as you've been participating in it?
It's just grown with more and more projects and more users over the years. Maybe it started off small with just over 100 projects, and now there's lots and lots of different projects. And each new one to me is like a whole new perspective on the topic on there. So it's just great to see what different people's opinions are, what they think, what they would like to do with that topic. Maybe it's something they're really interested in, or maybe it's something they'd like to explore a little later. So it's just great to see what they've made. Yeah, and we actually have like a forum for the curators, and we use that to help decide the next theme. And it's like a really fun experience being able to have to figure out a new theme that we haven't used before. And you can imagine there's like over 100 themes that we've had in the past, because every month a new monthly activity for them. So it's really cool being able to be like, okay, here's some ideas. We have some drafted, and then choose different by voting or any other discussion topic in the forum. So that's really awesome too.
It's so cool how simple the theme is. Like this one's just symmetry. The only guideline is just to make a project that involves that. But you see 100 plus projects that are completely different, so unique. Everyone's sharing, and it's so many different takes on the same idea, which is so cool.
Yeah, I see right there, simple just dot symmetry, and then up there there's like cats and characters and things. So just a whole range of different projects that Scratchers made.
Yeah.
Sorry,
go ahead.
I was gonna say that reminds me of another great thing that comes with Scratch, and which is the See Inside, which you mentioned helped you. Being able to see all the different style of code that people use, it's just awesome to So there's multiple ways to get to the same end on Scratch with different uses of code. Some use long bits of code, some use short bits of code, but both ways get you there, and it's super cool to see the way that people approach different problems that they want to achieve. So that's, I think, the coolest part, being able to see the other people's work.
Yeah. I'm curious, you've been showing some parts of the community on the website. What are some things that you think that you're surprised that people don't know about the community from your experience, especially with the years that you've spent on the website?
I guess it's surprising to a lot of people, and to me, that, we just all met through this conference, but there are a lot of Scratchers on the site that we become friends with, and that we've never met, we've never seen in person, but just through this love of coding and the love of this website and community, we have such a strong connection. It feels like just a crazy strong bond with someone that we've never met, and it can be such a long journey together. It feels like we've been friends forever. Just the other day, I think, maybe a month ago, the friend that I was talking about was my first Scratch friend, who I haven't talked to in quite a while. commented on my profile, hey, do you remember me? We met 5 years ago on this website. And I was like, yeah, I do remember you. You were a huge part of me getting started on Scratch. And it's crazy because that happens all the time. And I know both of you have talked about similar experiences where there will be people that you know on this site for years and you may not have met them, but it's just we're all so passionate about this, and this is such a great community for people who are passionate about it, that it just creates something that you wouldn't think is possible, and it's surprising that it's so strong.
Yeah, I'd say the same thing as you would. So I've had lots of people come back and come to my profile like, hey, do you remember me, like she said? And I'm like, of course I do. And we've been friends for quite a while. So it all starts always with a comment, like a positive feedback on somebody's profile. And then it expands, like we're giving feedback to theirs. And then it keeps going back and forth. It's like a chain, and just watching each other grow further and further with projects over the years. And then we just keep going like, wow, we've improved a lot over the years. It's amazing to see how much we can do with each other.
And I know that it's super scary to like release your kids onto a website where they can talk to whoever they want from around the world. But I promise it's super safe. We have a great moderation team that is looking over all the comments and making sure everything's secure. You don't have to worry about that. So I think that's the coolest part, how you really you don't have to worry about people talking to anyone from across the world. They get exposed to all these different cultures and backgrounds that they never would have had the chance to before. So that's just probably the best part in the community, I think, being able to experience all these new people that you never would have met before Scratch. So.
And something so cool about Scratch, I mean, there are so many different projects you can make, from games to animations to, there are a lot of people who actually just use the Scratch editor to post, you know, they draw different creative characters and they just post that, and it's just a picture with maybe like a description of the character, just like a million different creative things you can do no matter what your interests are. But one of my favorite things are multi-animator projects. And it's crazy to see so many different Scratchers come together and work on one project, because, I mean, a lot of them are like music videos. They'll pick a song and a bunch of different Scratchers will choose a little part, like maybe a verse or maybe the chorus, and animate in their style, however they want, and then they just submit that, and then whoever's, you know, managing the project will take all of that code, smash it together into one project, and then share it. So something like this, you see so many different animating styles, so many different Scratchers that worked on the project to create one final result, and it's just so cool that we can do that on Scratch. I think it's amazing.
Should we try this one? JT whispered to me, he's like, this one.
This is a guy. I remember this one. This is a good one.
You want to give an introduction, or should I just play it?
I know it's a song. So basically most multi-animated projects are based on a song, and it's all the different people coming together. And I think if you scroll down in the notes and credits, you'll see the ads with each part. Yeah, there we go. So there's the different Scratchers that worked on each part of the project. So if you want to just give a little brief.
Okay, do a brief play.
Stay awake for days if that's what you want. Be
in the bottom right corner, it'll show the person who worked on that project, or that part of the project.
I can fake a smile. I can force a laugh. I can dance and play the part. That's what you ask. Give you all I am.
I had to stop it. It's so enchanting.
Yeah. So that's an example of something. And then another one I remember not too long ago, we did this thing called I'd Like to Teach the World to Code. And a lot of people collaborated on art, and it was a parody of I'd Like to Teach the World to Sing. And we had a lot of scratchers doing art and some of them singing the song, and it turned out really cool.
Yeah, it was really nice. I remember being part of the singing. Mike was over there. I tried to be as far back as I could. Yeah, that's one of the things I really love. Also looking at in the community, the ways that Scratch members collaborated on projects together. MAPs are just one example of some of the different creative collaborations that have happened. There's collabs, which that concept was the first time I ever heard of it, when they work in small or large teams to work on a single project. There's role-playing games. Are there some that I'm missing?
As many groups of people working together on something as you can imagine.
Yeah. Oh, and remixing. It's really obvious.
Yes.
Remixing. I mean, this.
I love the remix tree feature. If you just maybe click on it for that one, so you can
look
see
at it.
Just all the different branches of people.
There's certain one. Let's go on to the next one.
You can see, yeah, 71 pages.
We'll keep flipping.
So I think basically what you guys are getting a feel for is how many different things you can do in the community. Like, it's easy to just imagine Scratch as a programming language because that's what it is at its core. But when you start branching off into different areas of the website, there's truly many more skills and like experiences that you get for your students. So not only do they get the programming experience, they also get working together and problem solving and other things too. So it's not just the programming element that they get. As soon as they enter the community, there are so many more like valuable, I guess, experiences that they can use. So.
That's very true. I mean, obviously, you don't have to be a student to be a Scratcher. Anyone can go on this website and either teach themselves how to code, you know, just browse around at projects. But one thing that I advocate for is just getting Scratch into more classrooms because, like you mentioned, there are so many things that you can get from Scratch and from programming in general, but this is such a great website. So many different features. One of my favorite things is that, and we were talking about this with the Symmetry Studio earlier, you can have one concept and there's a million different ways that someone can interpret it, a million different ideas for that one concept. So, you know, one thing that's really cool is if kids use Scratch to do like presentations and projects. I mean, we're all familiar with the classic PowerPoint or poster board, but after a while, you know, sitting through the same exact project for a very long time in a classroom, and it can get a little boring. But this is so engaging because, you know, you can have like the same topic that you're learning about in school, and you can kids can make a game about it. Kids can make an animation about it. They can make, you know, slides on Scratch. And so I think that's just one way that Scratch can be used in the classroom, and there's so many other things that I think are great for students, teachers, and then of course anyone who wants to use Scratch.
Yeah, I love how Scratch is just so interactive, especially for the classroom. So it's not like, yeah, like she was saying, with the boring PowerPoints, it's just like, here's this, here's this, here's this. And then in Scratch, you get like 20 to 30 completely different perspectives. Maybe one student makes the game, one student does like a PowerPoint, but it's completely interactive with other students in the class. Maybe it poses a question for other people in the room to answer. It would probably be just an amazing tool to add to everybody's classroom.
Yeah, there was actually a teacher here that I can't remember what her name was, but she, in a breakout session, was talking about how she approached her history teachers and her English teachers at her school and said, hey, if your students turned in their report as a Scratch project, would you accept it? And they were like, and then they took a look at the website and what they could do, and they were like, yeah, I think I would. So that student could not only get her class grade, but also their class grade using a Scratch project. So I think that was a really cool idea.
Yeah, back in 8th grade, when I was in 8th grade, in my history class, our teacher used to sometimes give us an assignment where it was like, make a creative thing about this topic. And then I had an account that I used for school projects, and I did it with Scratch. And then the teacher would always be like, wow, this is so cool, different from everybody else's piece of paper. This one is interactive and a little dancing character or something. It makes it even more engaging for people looking at it.
Yeah, speaking of the classroom, I actually wanted to shift gears a little and talk about some of the things you've been up to now. I know, Bella, you've been doing some things with classrooms and clubs.
Yes.
And
I've been teaching Scratch for about 4 years now. Currently, I teach classes of 4th and 5th graders. I've also worked with 7th and 8th graders. There are some pictures from my classes. And it started with my brother's in that photo right there. Yeah, so his 4th grade teacher actually, or just to preface real quick, when I was in middle school, we had these banking days every week. So it was just an hour in the morning on Fridays when teachers would meet. So students didn't have to come in until 9 a.m., so they would get an hour to do whatever they want. And I would always go into my elementary school and do community service before heading over to school at 9. And my brother's 4th grade teacher, she's absolutely amazing. She is so great about just, incorporating technology and art and just building an amazing classroom. So she offered to let me teach her class for an hour in the morning, teach her students how to code. And she used Scratch a lot in her classroom. Just after I would code, she would then, use whatever lesson and say, all right, now go make a Scratch project about it. Go do that, and it really, the kids loved it. So that was my first experience teaching in 7th grade with her. And then from there, I started creating my own classes over at my middle school, just after school classes. And it's been amazing seeing kids get so excited about programming. Just the after school classes were ones that they could sign up for. And you can see that I had such a huge turnout this year because there are so many kids that are getting engaged with this website. Anything else?
Yeah. So I have kind of a long story, but I'll try to make it short with the time that we have. So back when I discovered Scratch in 6th grade, I was also getting interested in community service. My art teacher was teaching us how to crochet, and I wanted to do some crocheting for community service, so I started doing it for cancer patients. And then over the years, I've been seeing these news stories and news articles about all the lack of technology. As I said, I live in Richmond, Virginia, in the inner city area. So with combining those two passions, I ended up forming this community initiative that I call Got Tech Richmond. And what we do is we donate and deliver all the needed technology equipment to underserved and underfunded schools in the Richmond, Virginia area. We've been able to donate around $30,000 to $40,000 worth of technology so far. Well, it's been an amazing experience. And we also teach Learn to Code classes at some of the schools. I know we have a picture of that in there.
Just action.
Yeah, so yes, we use Scratch, and this was a school called Swansboro Elementary School, and the students were super into it, but I have a couple of specific stories with the students there. So there was a 3rd grader. We were teaching them how to make dance projects, and that little girl jumped up on her desk, started dancing with her character, and then she was like, I did it! It was so cute, and I was like, yes, this student is beginning to share a passion with computer science, exactly what I wanted to do. And then at the same time, there was a 5th grade girl. I was just talking at the end, we're closing this. She ran up to me and just gave me a hug from behind. And then a little boy right next to me just started going, I love coding! And that same school started a weekly coding club. So, and they're still going with their coding club, and it's amazing what has happened with it.
It's definitely exciting. I'm sure we all feel this, that when we introduce or support others to do it, there's that high that happens when you see them have those aha moments. But I've never had a dancing on the table moment. I don't know if there's any.
You'll get there.
There's something to aspire to. Maybe I'll head it over to you now.
So I'm a part of the Chem Club at my school. I know Chem Club, not really computer science, but we do outreaches at our local elementary school, and they have a science club there. And so I actually introduced Makey Makey to that. So I figured you can add a little science to that with the whole electricity and circuitry thing. So we just basically had the kids go around and have some just fun activities, like teaching them about conductivity in non-conductive objects. So like we had plastic and tinfoil, so like which one would be conductive. And then at the end we had like a whole Dance Dance Revolution game, and we put tinfoil on the floor, and then they could do Dance Dance Revolution with a Scratch project, which was really cool. And then we all joined hands, and we had the Scratch cat meow whenever our hands were joined, because the the electricity would actually travel through the whole circle of us. And as soon as someone broke the link, then the circuit would break, and then the Scratch cat would stop meowing. So it was super cool seeing them all being like breaking hands and coming back, and then it would never play because everyone was breaking hands. So yeah, basically that's easy ways to incorporate Scratch and other things into different local elementary schools and other initiatives in your community. So.
Yeah, I'm curious. We're about to open it for questions. So this is your chance to ask a Scratcher. I'm gonna have one more question, then I'll open it up. We're gonna throw this around. We'll see how it works.
It's soft. Don't worry.
And so I wanted to ask, when I started introducing, like many years ago, when I started introducing people to Scratch and coding, I was really excited about it. Like, they're gonna love it, because I love it. And sometimes I would have success, and sometimes I would not have success. I definitely had a workshop where someone said, I hate this. I was like, I'm doing it all wrong. So I'm curious, have you run into challenges, and what have those challenges look like, and what have been your strategies? Like, what's one challenge that you've encountered?
Yeah, so for me, I know that the way that I do it, and it's similar to the way that I know Sarah in her session with Scratch for Big Kids, they had a similar approach, and it was about find something on the website, and you definitely can, over 30 million projects, I promise, that interests the student. So just have them be like, what is your hobby? What do you love to do? Do you sports, games, whatever? And then just search for it, and you'll find a project with it. I know you will. And then just show them that project, and they'll be much more perceptive to wanting to learn and code when they see that they can actually do things that interest them, as opposed to like a blank screen with a Scratch cat on it, which we all love, I know. But sometimes it's a little daunting seeing just the blank plate and having to start from the beginning at that age. And so when they actually see something that's finished and they know what they can achieve and be capable of on the website, it's much more easy for them to jump in and get excited about it.
Yeah, and as JT might have been mentioning a little bit earlier, there's all different ways to code a project. There's not just one correct answer. You can get super creative with all your different ways of doing the projects. And so I always tell people that debugging takes a lot of practice, and coding can also be like learning a language or an art. And learning a language and art takes a lot of practice before you start getting bigger and better, and until you grow, and eventually you'll be amazing. But you're not going to be perfect right away, so you just have to keep trying.
Yeah, it's all about showing, especially with younger kids, that coding, there are so many different things that you can do with it that can appeal to different interests. I know there's a lot of cool programs out there, such as Girls Who Code, who just encourage different people to try coding even if they don't think that they're gonna like it. I know in my 7th and 8th grade class, it was a class of all boys, but the most recent class that I have, I was so excited because it is, I think, more girls, if not an equal amount, which is so big because just getting girls into coding, because they might think, oh, it's a guy thing, even though it's not. So just being able to break that stereotype and show them, and they get so excited about it every time I show them a funny project, a funny animation, or a cool game. We start out with really simple animations. That's always like the first lesson. How do you put blocks together? How do you make a dog chasing a cat on loop? Stuff like that. But then when I show them different things that they can start building up to, they get so excited. I know there are, you don't just stop at, okay, I'm in elementary school, I started learning this, and now I'm gonna ditch Scratch and go to other stuff. There are actually a lot of people on the site who code for a living, professional programmers, that still use Scratch, and they make crazy games. Like they make, I know there have been people that code Minecraft on Scratch. Like they make Minecraft for Scratch just, using their own methods to code it. And so when kids, especially young kids that are so into gaming and just different things, when they see what they can eventually learn how to do, they get so excited about it. So I think the biggest strategy would just be show them all the different projects. Show them simple ones that they'll start by learning how to make, and show them more complex ones that might take a while, but they're going to be so excited to get there.
Yeah, teaching them how to make different projects from scratch, no pun intended.
Yeah, I know that we love to talk about low floor and wide walls, which is a great part of Scratch, but there's also a high ceiling that's often not talked about, because you're always going to have that one kid who more excels, and you have to show him that there's like so much that he can still do. Like, there's never really a top layer. Like, you're never going to be done with Scratch. You can always keep going and creating and imagining and sharing.
Exactly.
Because we are the Scratch community. Do you want to do the thing? The group selfie.
Oh, yeah. Do we want to take a group selfie?
Oh, okay.
I actually don't have a phone.
Get your friends ready.
Oh, we don't have a phone, so.
I was sure.
So, I guess, yeah.
I don't have long arms, so you're going to have to do that.
Y'all want to try and squeeze in?
Hey.
Sweet.
Okay, let's do it.
Yeah.
Okay. Would someone like to ask a question? Okay, I'm gonna like throw it slowly, and then we'll just like throw it to your person.
Ooh.
I wanted some tips to make the. Oh, this actually is a microphone.
Yes, it is.
I wanted some tips on how to make this multi-animator games. How would you, the process of doing this? How could you do it?
So I think the way that most people do it is they find a song or like anything that really interests them. It's usually a song, and dividing the song into parts. You can do it by verses, like in verses of 2 or 3 or however many. And then, so I guess like finding a lyric video or a lyric project to have people be able to see the words in the song, and then having people be able to come and pick parts. So I'd like to do these verses, I'd like to do these verses, and then I guess just first come, first served basis. And then give them like a week or however long you want to let them make their animation, and then they'll share it, and then you just like pull all their sprites and backdrops into the same project. So it's a little bit more work on the owner's part.
That's the part I'm confused about. How do you mash them all together?
Yeah, so you can use your backpack. It's like a feature on Scratch if you want to show real quick.
A little thing underneath.
You have to.
Oh,
yeah. You have to sign in.
You have to sign in to see if there's like a little arrow on the bottom there.
So it's a way, basically the backpack is a way, if you add another person's project, you can take one of their sprites or backdrops and just open up the backpack down there and then drag the sprite into your backpack. So now if you reopen up another project and then go into your backpack, that sprite will be there.
Oh.
And all the coding that
And all the
goes
code with it.
I'll just throw in some blocks here and try to get.
Yeah.
So we have something.
So now if she goes to another project,
let's open a new one.
and she can drag the code in, and there's the blocks with it. Yeah.
So a lot of times people will share one initial project saying, here's the idea, here's the concept, the song I want to use. It doesn't have to be a song. You can also, make a story, an animation, and have people do different parts of the plot line. Just things like that. But they'll say, okay, here are the different parts. Comment if you want one of them. And then, I usually would make a studio and just have everyone post their parts in there. That way I can just easily go into all of them. Again, there's a really cool see inside button on all the projects that is super useful for other things, but for this, you just drag the sprites in, like JT said, and then you have everything in your backpack to just drop into your final project that you're going to share.
And just troubleshooting real quick, I know that I had this problem when I was using it. If you have 2 tabs open and you drag something into the backpack on one tab, you have to refresh the other tab for it to show up.
Yeah, that's the only.
Just a little troubleshooting.
One thing I would add is that one thing I also love about the community is that they create all kinds of tutorials about things. So Scratchers have created a how to make a map tutorial that you can just Google as well.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll find
in case
one.
you didn't take all the notes. So I see a hand up here. So shall we pass over in this direction?
And while we're throwing that, I guess I wanted to mention that. Back when I was a a virtual camp counselor for some of these camps. I used to make tutorials for each stage of the way to show Scratchers all different things that they could do with each step. Like there was an art part, and I showed them how to do different types of art. There was a animation part, so I showed them different types of animation. And I liked getting feedback from the Scratchers on all different things that they've done with them.
Yeah, never hesitate to ask anyone, because everyone will be more than happy to explain too. So if you just want to leave a comment, oh, how did you do this? I'll just be like, oh, everyone loves to talk about their work too. So.
Hi, how would you change school in general, given your experience? I mean, in a general way, from the beginning, rethinking school given your experience.
You know, that's a really great question.
That's a good question.
Yeah. So for me, at least, I know for me, creative learning is so much more powerful than conventional learning that we have in like classrooms today. So notes on a PowerPoint are great, but getting a more creative aspect is so much more powerful and so much more meaningful to the student. So Scratch is a wonderful way to do that. If you want to have them make a game about the subject that they're learning, it's so much more memorable and easy to learn, way more than just taking notes. And it's much more easy to engage the students that are more less wanting to learn.
Exactly. Hands-on learning is a lot of fun, and I always use this as an example. Shout out to my English teacher, Mr. Crosby. He is one of I have a bunch of teachers that do things like this, which is just awesome. But rather than just standing up at the board and giving the lesson and having students take notes, he designs different projects and activities where we're giving just touched my mic. We're giving ourselves the answer. We're finding the information for ourselves, and then we'll have like a classroom discussion. So things like that, where the students are really discovering things and getting engaged. Scratch is a great tool for that. There are plenty of different activities that teachers can come up with. I think that's something that will get all students super interested in learning and just having fun with it.
Yeah, and I like the community and collaborative aspects of it being brought into classrooms. So this morning I saw a tweet from a teacher saying about different perspectives. Like if you have a question, you should share it with the world, share it with the rest of your class before asking. You can get all different answers and perspectives out of it. And that applies to Scratch, definitely. So as we were talking about studios and design studios, just that one topic, there were so many expansive varieties of different projects you could make out of it.
Thank you.
I see. How about we toss it on the other side? Other side here. Back there. Or, oh, she's
Back there, yeah.
I'm going to all the way.
Woo!
Hi, thank you for sharing. What I want to know is, when is sharing too much? So you made a friend from way back when, but do you tell them more information about you? When do you start to make the non-anonymous community?
So I would just say, again, Scratch is super safe. There's no phone numbers, there's no emails. Like the comment, you won't even be allowed to post it. It won't let you post anything. So I guess I don't really know if there is a fine line. Like if you want to share what you cooked that morning, go ahead and share what you cooked that morning.
There's no limit.
You want to share.
Sky's the limit.
Yeah, I would say you don't have to worry about I wouldn't share any personal information, but half the time you won't even be allowed to share it in the first place. So
yeah, and it usually doesn't come up. I mean, we're all so excited to talk about programming, different interests we have outside of that. It's never been an issue of safety or privacy. It's a very safe site for all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody else have any questions?
Easy. I have a quickie. Thank you. It was really great to see your first projects. I'm super curious to hearing kind of how your identities have developed. What are you working on right now?
What am I working on right now? For me, I'm trying to take the curriculum in the elementary schools, so 3rd through 5th grade, and giving that lesson or unit a Scratch project that they can present to their class. So basically incorporating creative learning into it. So I know for solid liquids and gases, I've created a little project that hasn't been shared yet, but it's the different types of solids and liquids and gases, and then there's a game that goes along with it, and different ways to be creative. So that's what I'm doing.
I'm not really working on anything specific Scratch projects right now, but I'm still working to expand my Learn to Code classes to different elementary schools this year. With my final year in high school coming up, I'm going to be able to, I'm going to probably expand to more elementary schools in my area, show them the different aspects. And I like to always end my Learn to Code classes with a community aspect. Like I tell the students, go ahead and make a studio and leave a comment on each other's projects. And it's just great to see each other's reactions when they refresh their page. They're like, oh wow, I got a love and this is really cool. Here's how you can improve comment. And I'm gonna work to keep adding that to the classes more and more. So it's not just project-based, it's also peers and collaboration-based.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna continue teaching Scratch, but I also want to start doing more things. There are pictures from a Scratch day that I did 2 years ago. It was just kind of a small thing in our computer lab that got kids interested in joining the class, but I want to keep making it bigger, think about doing something that my entire community can participate in. I also wanted to just try to get Scratch into more classrooms. When I was in 8th grade, I presented to some of the teachers at my school and just talked about how important it is to get coding and those skills into classrooms and how they can use Scratch to do that. And since then, I know the robotics program is now using Scratch. At my elementary school, they started using Scratch in more classrooms, but I want to continue pushing to get more people involved and just, you know, show different people that didn't know Scratch existed, hey, here's a cool program that you can create things on. So I just want to reach out to more people, do some really cool projects coming up, yeah.
Nice question.
About 5 minutes, any more?
Yeah. There's a question all the way over there.
Okay, let's see.
So close.
I'm just curious, like you grew up with Scratch, like learning to code on Scratch. Has anybody of you like learned any other programming language? And like if so, how has Scratch helped you with that, like getting started?
Yeah, so Scratch for sure introduced me to my love of computer science. From Scratch, I started working on like Codecademy, which is another great website for more line-based programming. And there I started learning JavaScript. And also on the website, Scratch is also open source. Open source on GitHub, so you can go and help contribute there, which is a great way to practice like the skills that you've learned in a real-world setting. So I've been trying to help out around GitHub, and they use React.js and HTML and CSS and all that. So.
Yeah, so also after I've discovered Scratch, I've tried some other languages, line-based like he was saying. I've also done some game and animation coding. I've done some computer science summer camps over the years, some overnight, some local, all different kinds. And then I eventually ended up going to a high school that has a specialty program known as the Center for Information Technology with computer science-based courses like AP Computer Science and Computer Science Principles and programming courses and a web design course. From there, I'm hoping to double major in computer science and digital media arts when I get to college.
Yeah, there are tons of different resources out there to learn new programming language. I know I've learned JavaScript on Khan Academy, just so many different ways that you can learn. And Scratch, just starting on Scratch helps you to do that because you just are able to learn so simply the different concepts that it takes, the way you have to think to be able to code. Obviously, it escalates from there. You can keep doing work on Scratch, but just being able to learn how coding works, you know, what does a loop do? How do you put things in a forever block, and why does that work? How does that work? Especially with young kids, having them understand the concepts first before moving on to anything else, they can easily learn any programming language they want so quickly just by learning this first.
And I know that we all agree on this. Scratch is a real language. It is a real programming language. Don't think that like it's a stepping stone onto bigger and better things. If anything, I'd say it's probably more powerful than other programming languages because you have a much easier element of sharing to the community and the world around you. So don't get confused on that.
So we have time for one very quick question. I see. Oh, sorry. All the way.
Oh, that's a long way. I think I'm gonna.
You got this.
Send it.
Go for it.
Woo.
Oh. Good throw.
Yeah.
There we go.
Okay. So my question is, sometimes students are reluctant to share and to get involved in the community. Can you talk about some good steps to encourage them, or first steps to encourage them to start getting involved in the community so they can start getting that kind of feedback that got you going?
Scratch Design Studio, for sure. I would introduce them to the Scratch Design Studio. It's right on the home page. It's a really amazing way to interact with other people, get a feel for joining the community and having conversations with another Scratcher, and having your project get exposure to other people being able to see it and leave comments and loves and favorites. So that would be my suggestion, the Scratch Design Studio.
And also making their own studios, like with their own interests, like whether that's music or animals or something specific or something else really broad. They can just make a studio and find kids in their class that agree with them, and they can get in smaller groups and collaborate with them, and that gets them started with the community part of people that share a passion with them.
Exactly. Looking at all of the different projects on Scratch, obviously having to do with their interests and things that maybe they aren't interested in and they just want to see what other people are making, and then looking through the comments, because I know so many projects have thousands of comments with positive feedback, with critiques and just stuff like that. So being able to see, oh wow, other people are sharing their projects, whether they're simple or complex, and people are having such positive reactions, such yeah, just seeing that I think will really encourage them and get them excited to experience it for themselves.
Yeah, sometimes the easiest way to have a conversation is just start a conversation. Just have them leave a comment, leave a love, and
exactly.
it'll flourish from there.
It's a really nice sentiment to end on. Fortunately, we're out of time, but they've offered to stay here for a little bit if you want to ask more questions. As you can tell,
by the stage.
Yeah, right here on the stage, and throughout the rest of the day. You can also find them on Scratch. And thank you all for your questions, and let's thank the three of them for joining us.
So we've had a tradition at the end of Scratch conferences to have a type of community gathering, and we'll use this as a time for you to reflect a little on the conference. But I thought I'd share a few of my reflections just to start. And I was starting to think about this morning as I was listening to the panel of Scratchers here, which I really loved listening to the Scratchers. As we said at the very opening of the conference, the best way to really get an appreciation for how and what kids are creating and learning and sharing with Scratch is to hear the stories of Scratchers. So it was great to hear the three of them this morning. And as I listened to them, it really did reflect some of the things that we were always looking for as we talk about what we hope will come out of people's engagement in designing and creating and sharing with Scratch. You could see in the three of them that clearly they were sort of developing their thinking. And for the type of projects they were creating, certainly they were learning the type of skills where they were able to create these projects of a wide range of different types of projects. But I think it was also clear in listening to them that it wasn't just about developing their thinking, as important as that was. They were also developing their voice and developing their identity. They were developing a way of expressing themselves. I think that's something that we've talked about throughout the conference, developing a voice to be able to take your ideas and share them with the world. I think we could all see with them developing their identities, of them starting to see themselves differently, seeing themselves as people who could express themselves and create things in the world and be full and active participants in this changing world. So I think for me, that made me think back across the whole conference, because the way I saw the three of them talking, seeing them as these people, young people who've been using Scratch for 5 years, who clearly were developing their thinking and developing their voice and developing their identity. As I reflected back over the last few days, I had so many conversations and so many sessions where I saw how all of you were supporting that. I think that's one of the things that I like so much about this conference. It was not just about how to support one particular thing with Scratch. We saw a wide range as in the different Ignite talks and workshops and panel discussions and posters, seeing all the different ways that educators around the world are supporting young people in developing their thinking and developing their voice and developing their identity. And there's so many stories that I heard over the last few days, and I was so fortunate to talk to lots of you and hear some of the stories. And it was great that you shared the stories with one another and in the video kiosk. We hope to continue to share those stories. And I hesitate to choose any one story because there are so many wonderful stories. But there was one I was going to share that for me captured some for me as I thought about sort of the evolution of Scratch. And I talked to an educator. I know she had to leave, so I'm not sure if she's still here. Charlotte Ackerman. Is Charlotte still here? So I think she might have had to leave already. And one thing that captured my attention at the beginning was she came up to me and she said she was at the very first Scratch conference 10 years ago, then hadn't come back, and then this was the second time she was at the Scratch conference. And she was reflecting on some of the changes. And she was talking about how that when she came 10 years ago, she talked to she read about Scratch as it had come out and got excited. And she said, this is the future. And she tried to convince her principal and the superintendent why this is important. But she had trouble convincing them. But she found a way to come. And she got more excited by the conference. But she went back. She spent many years without very much support because it wasn't seen as something that was very valuable or important in her school district. But she persisted on her own. And she was in elementary school. She was introducing Scratch and used it across the curriculum. And kids were using Scratch in their different book reports and in social studies reports and in science simulations and using it across the board. But it was still a challenge. She was trying to convince other people how this might fit in. And even ran into troubles when she did convince people. She ultimately convinced a middle school math teacher that this was valuable. And the middle school math teacher said, well, this does seem good, but if I'm going to use this, you have to stop using it in elementary school so I can do it in middle school. And of course, I think we all realized how that's exactly the wrong way of thinking about it. That they'd be able to do so much more in middle school math if they'd had this experience. But unfortunately, that's still a mindset that she was struggling against. Slowly, some of it started to get into other classes through the kids themselves. Some of the teachers at the younger grades in the elementary school said that some of the kids were using Scratch, and they talked it because they'd learned it from their older siblings who had learned it in the upper grades, and then the younger kids were learning it that way. But it comes full circle that she was back this year because finally the district did recognize this is something that they want to do. So she came back with a colleague of hers to help a colleague learn more about Scratch. And Charlotte was telling me, she said, I think it's okay for me to share this. She said she's 69 years old now, and she said she's not going to leave until the transition is ready, that she has other people. So this is part of the transition to bring someone to the Scratch conference. And she talked about some of the differences that she saw from 10 years ago. Obviously, her own personal trajectory, there'd been this change and a growing recognition of the values and ways of thinking about this. But she saw changes here. She was really excited about all the connections to the physical world. She said that 10 years ago, she felt that coming to the conference, she was diving into the digital world, for the first time. And here she felt this year that she was using what she'd learned in the digital world and reconnecting to the physical world, and how excited she was about that. She was also excited, she said, when she came 10 years ago, she felt a bit of an outlier as an elementary school teacher. And as a school teacher, she said so many of the people were from outside for informal settings, because in the early days of Scratch, there wasn't as much support and schools weren't, ready to change. But there's been a lot of change in the last 10 years. The school districts changed, better support through Scratch Ed and other types of resources. So she saw now when she came that the conference was full of teachers that were more aligned with what she was doing, what she was thinking about. And she felt so pleased to feel part of a broader community with lots of people trying to do the same types of things she's doing. And again, she had no illusions that it was going to be easy. She knew that there were still big challenges about doing it, as all of you see big challenges. But for me, it sort of helped see how Scratch has evolved over those 10 years, of how far it's come, but also the ways that it's still trying to get to take those ideas of how to support thinking and voice and identity and to bring that into various settings and different contexts. So I think those are things that stick in my mind, from the conversations of, how much things have changed, but also how we now have still lots of work to do to how we can support these values and ideas to reach more contexts and more places and ultimately more children. But I feel I feel very, very hopeful, because as much as I feel great about the technologies and activities and initiatives that I heard about here, for me what's most important is the community here. I feel hopeful because I see there's a community here that really is a respectful and inclusive and caring and creative community. And that's exactly what we need, because it embodies the types of values that we want to then bring to the world. And of course, it's not always easy, and it's, there are rough spots at times, and it doesn't always play out in exactly, with all the values we want. But I think I feel so excited to be part of a community and to be working with all of you to represent those values and how we can then bring those types of values out to the world to try to live up to the types of goals and dreams that we all have. With that, I'd sort of like to turn it over to you now and to have you think a bit about some of your experiences. What I was going to suggest is for me to spend a few minutes talking to your neighbors and to think about something new that you've come away with from the last few days. And it could be a new idea, or something about a new technology, or a new inspiration, or a new collaboration, or a new friendship, or a new way of thinking about these ideas. So it could be on any different levels. So I'd suggest taking a few minutes, just talk to your neighbors about something new that you're coming away with from your interactions and experiences for the last few days. And then we'll share it with the whole group. We'll give an opportunity for people to be able to share some of their experiences. So let's take some of their ideas. So let's take a few minutes and we'll gather back together in a few minutes to share. This is a quieting technique I learned from Karen Brennan, so thank you, Karen. So are there people who would like to share either new ideas or new collaborations or new commitments that they have, coming out of the last few days?
Hello? Is it this side? Yes, super. Community is the one thing that really jumps out. I've been teaching Scratch for 5 years now, and I have always allowed time for looking at other people's projects, but I never encouraged the kids to comment on other. They did, now and again, but to do it in a more structured way, and also they have set up their own studios and put their own things in without me even prompting them. But to do it again for those who wouldn't do it themselves that well, we tried the design studios, and as soon as we got around to them, there were way more than 100 in there, and we didn't find our own contributions at all anymore. So set up their own is probably the answer. So community, great thing.
Thank you. Let's go back that way.
So I think the thing that stood out most for me was just how diverse our community is. We don't really see it as much working in our individual countries and states, and to see everybody come together for the singular purpose of just learning more about Scratch and everything it's meant for, and helping the young children and young lives change was just so powerful to me. I really didn't expect to meet as many people from as many different countries as I did, and that was just so fun for me.
So for me, I think two things. Bringing parents and students to code together. I thought that was a really good idea. So it's a family coding day. And also, because we get so much challenges when we ask for permission for girls. But if the parents are coming and they're part of it, it'll be really good. And this morning, I went for robotic and design thinking. That was fun. That was so much fun.
One thing that I've been surprised with, when I started with Scratch, it was Scratch 2. And in hearing about Scratch 3, it's been great to see how closely you guys are working with all your developers for the physical computing platforms and all the other tools to ensure that when the switch happens over, that the tools are ready to use with the newest version of Scratch, and I think that is really amazing.
Well, I'm Angela Jarman from Costa Rica, and I don't know if anyone here is from Costa Rica. I think we should do a Scratch meetup, because what I realized from being here is that there's so much synergy that happens from plugging in with different people. I've got so many business cards of people that can help my physics teacher, my computer science teacher, and I want to get that synergy, and I think we as countries that are outside the United States should really take advantage of the structure that they've set up and make these meetups, and I think it will help us really move forward. So. All right, let's see if I can do this.
Whoa.
Thank you. I think as an emerging educational researcher who also wears different hats, I've been to conferences now, and in our work we try to, think about who gets excluded a lot. But for me to actually be in a physical space and at a conference where it's not just a matter of theory, but in practice, feel like really not anyone's being excluded, or there's not really that much of a hierarchical structure. That's amazing. And I feel very energized by that. So just seeing, teachers and community folks and entrepreneurs and university folks, and I mean, just everyone really in it with passion for the same reasons is completely refreshing. Thank you.
Hi, I have a mathematics and computer science background, and what impressed me was how it reached out into the arts, and how it was just amazing to me, especially the turtle stitch, wherever you guys are. It was incredible, so thank you.
Hi, I'm so happy. I'm from University of Bologna, Alessandro. I'm so happy to see the new P appearing, the 5P, so the purpose. And this is quite impressing me, because at the end of the day also, in our work with, from university with children, at the end of the day there is the society, and the idea to have an impact to the society. And so when also I understood here that there is the new P, the purpose, and all these, I look forward to see what's going to happen to spread this kind of impact beyond computation, beyond, but also beyond creativity. A creative society, of course.
I'm John. My own takeaway from this is that I'll wake up tomorrow morning and I'll realize that I still have a lot of networks that I can actually share on with even after the Scratch conference. That is actually what has blew my world. Thank you.
Okay, so I'm Claude from Paris. This is my 6th conference. And what I take away from it is something I stole from Carmelo. When I arrived, he told me that what he likes in conference is love he gets from the community. And that's what I go away with.
Hello, everybody. This is my 3rd conference, and talking about love, I wanted to share one more fact. There are 2 different I would say educators and parents play a very major role in the part of children as they grow up, because they try to see educators and their parents as their role model. So it's very important for every person to be a good human being first. And I still remember Mitch Resnick giving me a little bit of 2-3 minutes time in a New York Maker Faire 4 or 5 years back. that's from where I came to know about Scratch, and I came to know about this research group, and I got hooked to it, and I started learning more and more and helping people in my community in different countries. So I request every one of you, along with technology and other development, please continue being just this same lovely community as you are.
Mm-hmm. In the back.
I feel the love, for sure. But I want us all to remember that we have to bring this back to our schools, that all of this next generation is our students, and if we're not, it's great to get new ideas, but if we're not bringing them back and implementing them, it's all kind of just words that disappear. So take this power and keep pushing it, keep pushing the system, keep pushing our students to keep learning, being creative, and using their hands and brains, not just their brains all the time.
Well,
You're welcome.
I'm a teacher from Hong Kong, and before we used Scratch for many years. However, we just make it as a programming tools or a teaching tools, and we always push our students to finish their tasks on time, and we just kill Scratch in our country. That means students just hate it, and teachers also hate it. So from this conference, I can see the other side of the world, and that means beautiful things can come out from the Scratch, the same tools, but in other ways. And community is what I can catch the key concept. That means it should be used to express one another's views, and that means everyone can make use of this in different ways. Yes, thank you.
Hi, everyone. The community is really amazing. This is my first conference, Scratch conference. And I would goes without noticing the guys with the orange badges, the Scratch team. They are really amazing. Every time you see one welcomes you with a smile, you don't even worry to go and approach them and ask for anything. And I think that will go without noticing. And I had a chance. I'm a programmer, that's my thing I do every day. And I had a chance to meet one of the API developers downstairs, 4th floor. And he told me the way he was working. He just told me the experience working with the Scratch team, and I felt really good, and it makes seeing the front end. We're only seeing the front end using it, but the passion the team has, and it's really awesome. And also, I know no one mentioned this, but the food is amazing.
Just one sentence. You remind me that I need to give back the scissors.
It's very seldom to turn big ideas to practice, and I can touch it. It's possible. When I first time read Mitch Resnick book, I think, okay, it's very nice, and I can read it with pleasure, but what can it work in practice? And here, we are from Poland, and I think I can say we learn we can turn ideas into practice and a big experience. Very thank you. Wow! Okay, maybe I can try.
Nice toss. I'm John Lynch. I'm from Boston. I'm a volunteer educator. As if our jobs as educators weren't hard enough, I feel like the conversation about education that you see in the news or just here on the street is so overwhelmingly negative and cynical. And as we saw in the keynote yesterday, you write the story that you want to read. And I want to read about the positive things that are happening in education. So I want to thank everybody here for sharing their stories about things that are working and things that are inspiring. And I hope that you continue to do it because I want to read those. I think we have a responsibility to write those stories to change the conversation. So thank you. Gotta throw it a little.
Hey everybody, I'm a community educator based in Raleigh, North Carolina. My first conference, Scratch conference, so very excited to be here. One thing that stood out to me was the morning keynote when somebody asked the Scratchers about what's school like, how do they want to see school like, and what they said is creative learning. So for me, that was a big thing of taking back. And there was a discussion about what's computational thinking, reimagining. So it feels like we have boxed ourselves into, okay, this is computational thinking, and this is what kids need to learn. And I feel like it's so much broader, right? It's so much broader, horizontal, what they need to learn. I feel like this whole group out here is a collective, and I'm going to sort of call it as the creative learning collective. I'll leave it at that. And I don't have anything else to give back. No scissors here. All right, who's next?
Hello, my name is Jess, and I'm from Canada. And I'm an educator and developer, and for the last couple of years, I've been training our volunteer instructors at Canada Learning Co. to teach. And something that we always like to say to them is, you set the bar as an educator for how excited people will get about what you're teaching. But this week, and something that happens often after you're teaching for so long, you forget to have fun with the things you're teaching. And this week, I had so much fun playing with everything that you all taught us. And I was so inspired by seeing MIT Media Lab and how the researchers work here and all the toys in the lifelong kindergarten office. And I was just inspired to play. And I want to go back and play more so that when I teach kids, I share my passion for the fun of computing and programming. So thank you for reminding me to play more. I really want to throw this, so someone.
Go back to me. You actually want to say it?
I just want to thank Mitchell. First, for the fresh orange juice squeeze we got on, and the cookies. And, but not last and least, all the Scratch team. So here, come on, go together. Get up!
We'll thank them later. We'll thank them later.
So, thank you.
One thing that I would like to ask you guys, I saw one other person from a library here. I'm from the Chicago Public Library. And as teachers, I would ask you, I can't reach all these libraries, encourage your local librarians as well to come in and join. In Chicago, we've been pushing Scratch, and now we have Scratch offline in many of our computers, and we try to incorporate many programs to, like yesterday's conversation, to create an environment that enables these kinds of activities. And please, I would like to see more of my peers, but I can't reach all your local librarians. Invite them over here. This is great.
But it was great to hear all that, and I know there's lots more comments, and we could go on longer, but it is coming to time to wrap things up and to look ahead. So we do want to end with a few announcements about some things coming ahead with other events coming up. The Scratch community in Japan is going to be hosting a regional Scratch conference in October, on October 20th. So I want to let people know about that for the region. Kazuhiro Abe, is he here? Yes, Abe-san will be organizing that. So anyone in the region, please talk to Abe-san about ways to contribute and participate in that. And then we also have an announcement. There was meetings last night with the participants from Africa, and I'd like to invite all of them to come on stage because they have an announcement about some of their plans for the future. So come on up on stage. Either one of you.
We're making the announcement.
Just relax.
It's okay.
We solve between both of you because it's too.
I know.
Get someone to talk.
Hi, everybody. We have an awesome announcement to make. Next year, Scratch is coming into Africa. And because Africa is huge, we are going to have one that is going to be an Anglophone, which will be hosted in Nairobi, Kenya, and it will be hosted at a university called United States International University, Africa. The dates as of now is August 20th to 23rd. Those are the dates that we've set. And then there will be the Francophone, which will be held in Morocco. And I'll give our French-speaking African to say something about it.
I'm Evelyn from Morocco. We have a school, but my English is better in than out. I will speak in French, because if you come in Morocco, you will speak French or Arabic. So you have to improve your English, your French now, and your Arabic. Je suis très contente et ravie que la prochaine conférence se passe en Afrique. L'Afrique, c'est l'avenir, c'est le futur. Et si vous faites l'effort de venir chez nous, comme on fait l'effort de venir chez vous, Scratch, ce n'est pas qu'un chat. Anglais, c'est un chat international, c'est un chat français. Et toute l'Afrique de l'Ouest, francophone, que ce soit le Maroc, l'Algérie, on sera ravis de recevoir MIT, de recevoir Scratch et de vous accueillir avec des chameaux dans le désert, et on vous prouvera que Scratch est le bienvenu. Merci.
If you want to taste African food, if you want to wear African attires, if you want to go for safaris, if you want to learn Swahili and other African language, see you next year. Yes.
Thank you. I'll also mention there are new resources coming for Africa. John just published a new toolkit to help people learn from scratch, so people can search online to learn more about that as well. I'd like to spend a little time now with some thanks. So for that, I'd like to invite the whole Scratch team to come join on stage. Actually, I'd also like to invite up all former members of the Scratch team and the Scratch Ed team and the Scratch Junior team. Yeah, move on. So, I mean, the people on stage work tirelessly on so many different parts. There's the product team who's been working for the last few years on Scratch 3.0, who's finally launching during the conference. And community team that manages and moderates the online community, keep it a safe and constructive environment online. And educators, both at MIT and Harvard and Tufts, who are developing new resources and strategies for supporting Scratch in the world. I also want to give a special shout out to people who've been especially involved in organizing the conference. There was a conference team who put a lot of effort into what's happened in the last few days. So we have, from our own group, Carmelo and Lily, who put a lot. And Abisola, the administrator for our group, who's and Lisa and Mi Win from the Scratch Foundation. And two incredible event planners and coordinators, Kate Shanahan and Kate Strauss. And people also, we had so many comments both on Twitter and today about the food. I want to give a special thanks to the folks at Via Lago who did. Marsha. And again, and take a moment just to thank all of ourselves and the whole community for the ones who made all this possible. And we're going to end with a collaborative activity that Carmelo and Lily and Sean have been putting together.
So, there are things that are not working, like, for example, the Scratch project that Sean is debugging right now. But before we get to the Scratch project, you should have received a little plastic thing with Scratch on it. And this thing is a musical instrument. It's a very low floor musical instrument that you're gonna learn how to play in the next 5 minutes. So, together with the kazoo committee, okay, so we want you to try to use this kazoo, and it's basically just like talking into it. And if it doesn't work, ask your neighbor. So it just takes 30 seconds. Let's try to make some sound. Awesome. All right. This is perfect. Okay, thank you. Thank you. Please. Okay, we never thought about how to stop this. Oh, okay, let's do this. And so, wow, thank you so much. Okay, thank you. So this is the first part, making some sound. And now we're gonna start making some notes because we want to perform a song that is about love and all together. So maybe I will hand off to Sean and Lily, who will teach you how to play actual notes.
Yes. So there's going to be 2 parts to the song, and we're going to signal you through them. So when you see part 1, you're going to play part 1. And when you see part 2, you're going to play part 2. It's really that simple. So we're going to go through the notes of part 1. In true Scratch fashion, if you want to play something else, you do you. But yes. we're going to show you some notes that you can experiment around with. Do you want to?
Okay, I don't know if it worked, but yes, it works.
So those are the first 3 notes of part 1.
This is awesome. Okay.
and then we're going to play exactly that same thing again.
What a sound. And then, yes, it's amazing. The first, like, 600, well, whatever, like, people, kazoo orchestra is my dream coming true.
This has been a dream of Carmelo's for a long time. All right.
And then the third, like,
And then the last part of part one, do you want to trigger the...
Yeah.
So same thing, just a little bit higher.
Okay, so this is all part one, right? And then we have part two. We're getting there. So it goes like, was it this one?
Yeah.
It's just one note. It's like. You're great. Okay. And then there is a second voice that goes like. Okay. So it's like kind of like a voice and a response, right? Do you want to simulate that? So maybe half of the people can do like this side of the audience can do. And the other side can do. You're amazing. That's the best kazoo orchestra I've ever experienced.
All right, we'll try that once. So this is part two. So we'll start with you all, and then you all are going to do the response. Ready?
This is great. So I guess we can start a project that is buggy, but we don't care because bugs are part of the process, and we love bugs. Actually, like how this heart is beating. So I think we'll take it as a feature, and and there is a very, very first intro. Do you want to show also the intro?
No, let's play.
Let's just play it together.
Save that can't be saved. Nothing you can do, but you can learn how to be in time. It's easy.
Ready for part two?
All you need is love. All you need is love. All you need is love. Love. Love is all you need.
Solo. Thank you for your love.